1. Two. I'm seeing which pens that made it from my Minneapolis visit to home ended up in the airplane spewing ink everywhere. So far, none. I don't remember which ones I had ink in. This I had ink in. This is a little bit nasty. Oh, is it Easter yet? Has Jesus Christ arisen from the grave again? Like, why can't he just stay dead? What's this ascend to the sitteth on the right hand of God business all about? So far, I guess not so good. Do I need to get my little Q-tips out here? So I bought a book yesterday at Target, and it is a book called 500 Writing Prompts. And if the paper is good, I may choose to go buy a couple more. There's only 500 pennies. It was only $5. And it opens up very flat, which I like books to do. Well, how can the supermarket be shut? It's Thursday. Easter is Sunday, isn't it? Or did something change? Okay, this is a pen someone gave me. It's a Wherever, which I did fill up. And surprisingly, it's still working. Okay, what other pens? I left a lot of pens at home in Minnesota. So this is the one that's still seems scratchy to me. How is your loop struggling going on? Your squiggle struggles? Oh dear, this one I have to fix. I'm just going to put all these away. Some Christ thing happening. Well, it's not Good Friday. Is it Maundy, Thursday? Is that what it is? Maundy, Thursday. Do. Maundy, Thursday. So let's try this out. You're going to be the guinea pig to watch me pick up a writing prompt at random. Oh, April Fools, yeah. What is something that I learned today? What is something that I learned today? I learned that I did not die in the night. How's that? It's not a, let's see if there's bleed through. It doesn't seem to bleed on top. It's actually pretty sweet paper. So I may go buy another couple of pieces of this just because it is kind of nice. They also have one on drawing prompts, but it's laid paper with a slight texture to it. This was from Target. And it actually does, tell you how to use a colon and a semicolon and complex sentences and a comma, and it, reminds you things that you should have learned in high school, which I didn't know about when I bought it. Normally, I don't like these kinds of books, but this one looked like it had really nice paper. And my original thought was to just have this full of just the nastiest foul things, like every entry would have the word dildo in it, or orgy, or some sort of just in the gutter, just nastiness, just foul, and I thought that would be sort of a fun way to. What is your favorite holiday and what do you love about it? I love Christmas the most because that's when I get at least 3 or 4 new dildos. Though last year I got a butt plug, which was way too small, and then just make them vile. If you had a do-over button, which one event in your life would you like to have second chance at? That hot stud I drew 10 years ago, I wish I did more than draw. How about that? When have you felt like the new kid? When I was at my first orgy, I could see all of the leering eyes of the old timers look at fresh meat off the rack. What do you think about that? Just make them vile. Or actually interesting. Someone had posted barricade yourself and eat. Someone had posted on George Bruno's Instagram page. Well, he posted, I think. He said, I've been in Las Vegas and I witnessed a bridesmaids bachelorette party where all the bridesmaids and the bride-to-be were getting drunk and the bride had a veil with dildos on it. And I pity the poor man that's marrying her tomorrow. And I thought, this is my kind of dame. What's wrong with her? Nothing. She's having fun. And a bride that has dildos, embroidered on her veil. Like, what the fuck? That's pretty hot to me. Not hot. It's pretty cool. It's not hot. It's cool. It's cool. And earlier in one of his statements, he reposted someone else's statement about, it was a man posting about his desire to be celibate. And all these other men were chiming in saying that this guy's too ugly to get a dame and he's not trying hard enough to get a dame. Well, I don't understand. Are we supposed to have sex all the time or not? I guess men are supposed to have sex and women are supposed to remain pure. Like, what is going on in the mentality of that population where there's so clearly a double standard? You know? Yes, yes, yes. Okay, so what other things can I put in here? If the week had a theme to it, what would it be? What would yours be? Orgies 24/7. How about that? That's not, I've got many more lines. That's like one line, and I've got all of this. Write a story that involves a flame going out. I was lashed to the table with rope, and the master was holding candles, dripping hot wax on my tender nipples, and the doorbell rang, and the door was answered, and the breeze blew the flame out. How about that? Frederick, this is a book I bought at Target called 300 Writing Prompts. And I thought I would use it here because I've got more than 300 pens, and I can write the most vile, disgusting, nasty, and consequently fun things in this. And Mighty Mouse, was I thinking you were Melissa all the time? Where's my device to scroll up? I thought Melissa was here, but it was you. No. Yes, it was you all the time. I'm sorry, Mighty Mouse. I thought you were Melissa. My brain isn't awake yet. Write about the time everything changed in the blink of an eye. When I was first anally probed with that piano leg, everything changed. It wasn't a regular piano leg. It came from a Steinway, which was from the Liberace estate, which was consequently completely carved with all sorts of Baroque ooh-la-la, and it had sequins glued to it. Now my sphincter is bejeweled. How about that? Did that fit in here? This is not meant for children. Write about a historical event from the perspective of an individual. How many assholes are on a horse, you ask? Well, as a horse, I can say that I have one. But Ronald Reagan rides me every weekend with the Queen of England, and consequently, I have two assholes on me. Is that enough of a historical thing? In your opinion, what is strength? This is one right for George Bruno. It's a man with lots of muscles, period. It is not a woman, no matter how many muscles she has, so that's not strength, that's a perversion, period. Bedazzlement on one's bewatchet, whatever they're called, those things that women have down there. What are they called? Mighty Mouse. Bajango. Bahoohoo. Sphincter strengths. I did make it back, and I'm right in the gutter, Carson. Right in that gutter. Anyway, I may go back to Target today and buy some more of these because I love the paper. It's too bad it has all this stupid stuff on it, but this paper is really, really nice. It's textured, it doesn't bleed. Now let me try a fine nibbed pen. What color do you feel like today? Let's see. Let me get my No. Why can't I find what I want here? I want my Parker 45 that was owned or given away by the governor of Minnesota. It is not any of those. It's right here. Right here. I feel green today. Today, I feel aubergine. A-U-B-E-R-G-Gene with just a tiny hint of Caca Dauphin. Now, Friedrich, I know you know what Caca Dauphin is. But maybe Carson and Mighty Mouse don't know what Caca Dauphin is. What color is Caca Dauphin, you ask? Caca Dauphin is a greenish, yellowish brown. and it was a color that was very, very popular in Louis the 16th, or is it Louis the 14th's day? Whatever happened to Louis the 15th? Or is Louis the 15th the Dauphin in question? But caca dauphin translates to royal baby shit brown. And for some reason, that particular dauphin was the talk of the town. And evidently nothing that little baby did was bad, including shitting gallons worth of royal baby shit poop color. So textiles were made of that color, wallpaper was made of that color, carpeting and rugs, clothing. I don't imagine they made makeup of that color, but yeah. Did I translate it wrong? Shit of... It actually doesn't say the word brown in the title, but it's implied because shit is mainly brown. But this dauphin, or maybe all babies in general, whether they're royal or not, have greener shit than adult royalty has. That's when it turns purple. Yeah, I know, Mighty Mouse. You have to look at what he did that was nice. Like he built that pretty palace. No, it's awful that there's a flip side to people that build pretty palaces. They don't do that cheap. And if everyone under their power made a living wage and palaces happened, they would be a little bit less guilt fraught. Baby poo is green. Okay. Well, it maybe should be referred to as royal baby shit green then rather than brown, but normally it's sort of, I think it's put in the, I don't know. I think it could be said royal baby shit green or royal baby shit brown. So I'm going to have fun with this book. I have 288 more writing prompts, and they're going to be dark or in the gutter or caca dauphin in tone. And I can buy the other compendium, the drawing prompt one, and maybe illustrate all of the things I'm talking about. But I'm really happy with this PiccadillyInk.com. I'm happy with this paper. Okay, I started collecting the leather for my dad's jewelry globe, where I will take necklaces that he never finished and put them over this spherical leather-clad leather-clad ball, and keep adding to it with more and more. And I've got, I if it works out, I have enough jewelry that my father started to make probably a dozen of these things, and they'll all be different sizes. I sort of want them to look like planets. Maybe I will hang them from the ceiling, suspend them from the ceiling, at different heights, so they look sort of like a planetarium planet thing. So Carson, what are you up to today? And where are you from, Carson? Did we ever find that out? Or am I forgetting? I'm going to do one thing that may take me 5 minutes. So I'll be right back. You have your food, kitty. I'm back. Where did Carson go? Okay, where's my coffee? Where'd my coffee go? Is it time for another writing prompt, Mighty? Or pick a pen, pick a different pen. We'll use a Parker 51 Flighter. Let's open the book at random. right here. What is your favorite dessert? Oh, I don't think so. We don't do I don't think we do anything. Our country's all about staying open and making people spend money. What is your favorite dessert? Banana split with whipped cream because it reminds me of two banana-shaped things side by side. How about that? Ice cream, vanilla. Yeah, I'm a vanilla ice cream guy. I could eat gallons of it. Vanilla ice cream. On a hot slice of apple pie. Should I continue to make it on a hot slice of apple pie in the mouth of Brad. I'll just pick a name at Brad. While French kissing. How about that? That's a pretty good dessert. It has to be dirty. I made it dirty. Well, I made it actually more interesting. Vanilla ice cream on a hot slice of apple pie in the mouth of Brad while French kissing. That's not really a very good sentence, but it gets the point across. Never give a book like this to someone like me. Well, dirty from the point of view of a conservative Republican Christian, the two or three of them that actually have not had sex with a 17-year-old girl that they imported over state lines. Are there any such Republicans out there? Doubtful. You know, I think what Republicans should do is just run on a platform based on what they do. Everyone in America has to be married 3 times. Everyone in America has to have sex with a woman that they pull over kicking and screaming from a neighboring state. Everyone has to lie. And everything you say has to be an alternative fact. And let's just see how far we get. Pierre, did you go to the store today? No, I would say, even though I had been to the store. Oh, yes. Everyone has to visit the airport bathrooms and have a very wide stance so that a policeman thinks you want to get sucked off. I mean, why not? It seems to me that they would love that. Carson, are you still in the room, or have we offended you by our gutter talk? I mean, some people that come into most of the people that come and visit me and stay for more than 4 or 5 minutes are relatively liberal-minded folk. And in addition to being liberal-minded, we love to what do we love to do, people in this room? We like to not necessarily talk dirty, but we don't mind if it goes in that direction. Well, but many of them have. And yes, we push the envelope just to the edge where YouTube will allow it. And would YouTube allow me to French kiss someone named Brad with his gob filled with vanilla ice cream and apple pie? I imagine that there are some religious people who actually devoutly believe in their whatever religion it is that they want, whether it be Jesus Christ or the spaghetti monster. And they may sincerely believe these things, but it seems to me with the last 4 years behind us, we've proved that, or it's been pointed out very obviously, that they really don't believe the things that Christians anyway, that we were taught that Christianity is supposed to be about. Well, my flower project that I spent days and days and days on was just canceled by the clients who decided that they don't want flowers after all. And I'm supposed to send a bill for the work I did. Now, the work I did, if I added up all the emails I sent, all the hours I spent, the money I spent, I bought 6 brand new watercolor brushes so I could do this while I was on vacation. It would end up costing thousands of dollars. But when I did the bid, I think I said it was going to be $250 or something like that to do this floral border. But every time I made a step going in this direction toward what I thought was going to be the finish, here's 3 different watercolor, how many is that? 8. Here's 4 different watercolor styles of flowers. Which style? I don't care about what the flower is. That's not important. Which style of flower do you want? Okay, they pick this one. So I do more in that one, and then they show me a different image that they got somewhere else showing a different kind of flower. Well, that's, then I have to backtrack again, do a different thing. So the step I made forward from their original choice now has to go back. And that's not my fault. Oh, wow. Ian Schoen is such a nice guy. He lived in Boston, or lived in the town Allston, a suburb of Boston. And he was at the Boston Pen Show, and I saw his table at the Boston Pen Show, and they looked like weapons or ammunition for guns. They were all 2 or 3 different colors of metal cylinders, and they were all ballpoint pens. So I sort of dismissed him and it and them immediately in my crazed fury of getting and being in a pen show and selling pens and buying pens, that I sort of dismissed him. But I got to meet him in Philadelphia. He had a table near to where Nick and I were sitting, and we talked about pens. He hadn't been making fountain pens yet, but now he is. And and he was working on making watches and stuff like that. And it was really fun talking with him. And I regretted being so dismissive of him initially. But I like him very much. He's passionate about what he does. And I have a really hard time, though, with pens that have that step down that his do, and also with pens that are not postable. That was another thing that I didn't like about the design. So and the fact that, the fountain, when he started making the fountain pens, of course, the nibs were not as flexible or as varied as I like, but I love the passion that he does and the colors he comes up with and all that kind of stuff. It would be fun, I think, if I could maybe see if I could help him come up with other designs that might involve the same sort of process of a cylindrical shaped pen. Yeah, the step down is really a problem, and it doesn't have it doesn't have to be. The threads could be way at the end of the section, like a more safety pen. They don't have to be anywhere near. Of course, I forgot about the fact that they unscrew to fill. Forgot about that. They could unscrew somewhere else. It involves adding more threading, maybe, or would it? No, you still need the same amount of threads. If the threads were at the end, yes, of course, it would get maybe inky. But if the seam were in the middle of the barrel, like a joint filler pen or whatever, middle joint, yeah. See, our minds are thinking alike. Then what he could do, based on if the front part, the threads, the barrel, and the middle joint were here, he could have the back of the pen be different lengths. You could have one that was long or short. The back end would be the thing that's different. And you could have the caps, I guess, could be equally different sizes because they're rather short, stubby pens, which I kind of like, but I like the way they look, but they're not easy to actually. Oh dear, Wasky just got a channel sponsor. He's going to have to mind his P's and Q's. No one would ever sponsor me. Well, maybe the dildo companies. Maybe I should send Ian a letter about that. I really don't think that moving the threads to the front of the section would be technically difficult. Except there might, there might be more, it might be more apt to corrode up there, where it's far into the cap. The threads will weigh on the inside. Are the caps of his pens, it's all metal, or is there a hard rubber inner cap or what? on his pens? Do we know the answer to that? Where's my pen design? Oh, it could be a Wasky joke, April Fool's joke. It is April Fool's after all. So here's the cap of a Shun design pen, and it has threads and may have an inner cap or it may not. I don't know. Here's the barrel of a Shun design pen. Oops, I guess that's here. And there's threading and a cartridge or whatever back here. But if he did this, step down. But if he did this, where the threads were here, and then the pen was here, and the threads were there, it still would. I mean, if he wants this and this to meet in a sphere, I mean, he'd still have to. The step down is always going to happen, I guess, if he wants this and that to match. So moving the threads isn't helping any, except it may be giving you more space here where this is behind you. It's really difficult when you want the outside of the pen to be a cylinder. The closed pen to be a cylinder, you need a step down there somehow, I guess. But if you have it pushed further aft, I mean, it could be like those diamond metal points, those little purse pens, too, you know, that are this big when they're closed. It looks like lipstick, and you unscrew the cap and put the cap on the back, and then you've got a thinner holder. See, the little step down that happens way back here is not bad. It's when it happens here. Oh well. You know, maybe if the threads, if the metal were really, really strong and the threads, the thickness of the cap could be made much thinner, then the threads could be thinner and everything could be thinner. The step down could be made minimal. I think we lost Carson. Because it's easy. It's probably easier, and because you could make the cap and the barrel out of more weird things like wood and things like that, because so many of the pens back then, or when they started out, had materials that were more homemade, I guess. I mean, not homemade, more when people were experimenting. That, I think that was the easiest way to make a pen out of more materials. Hey, Russell, I've missed you. You've been hiding from me. No, I'm joking. I know you're busy, and would you like to say hi? Russell's desert paintings are so de Chirico-like. I don't necessarily see a desert as I see a vast space that's maybe more urban than not. Maybe the clock tower keeps making me think it's urban. So I have a new project, Russell. Are you still in the room? I'm taking some of my dad's necklaces and that he never finished, and making a huge bowling ball sized gob of them. I'll have to get Wasky on here again. Oh, here's Russell. There you are.
I hate it when this happens.
What happens?
Oh, this thing's not sealed up correctly.
And
You
it's
see the
bubbling.
steam coming out of it.
Oh dear.
Yeah.
So what do you have to do? Turn it off and reseal it, or do you have to?
I have to wait until it calms down, basically.
I see. Is it one
It'll
of these?
be fine.
Is it one of these things like a time lock on a bank where you have to wait till tomorrow morning to when your thing is supposed to be done?
No. The options I have are to, wait for it to decide that it's ready to seal up correctly, or just depressurize it right now and then set it again.
I see. It sounds.
Looking at the way it's going right now, I might have to depressurize it. So
those things are
exciting.
Yes, if you open it up now, it would be a fountain of goulash. What's inside of that?
I put in chickpeas and some and some what are they called? Black-eyed peas, and then there's some peppercorns, bay leaves.
Okay.
and some mushrooms and pepper.
But there isn't a sheep's head inside there anywhere.
No, not
No,
right now.
no, they were out of them at the store.
No, the sheep decided that it wasn't willing to go inside.
I see. Yeah.
Look at that. Second time this is probably I need to clean this lid off or something. I don't know.
I know that those things, those devices there are quite popular. I see a lot of people in my building buying them because I see a lot of boxes that sometimes turn into fish, Mighty Mouse. Fish! And I think my brother has one too that he uses for rice, but so does the pressure cooker differ from a regular pot on the stove by cooking it faster because it's under pressure?
That'd be as far as I'd understand it. Yeah.
Yeah. And of course, nothing escapes. So.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to clean this whole lid off. The reason I'm able to join you at this point is because, so I told you that there was the flooding up there at where the office was, right?
No. Flooding?
I mean, there was a plumbing issue.
Oh dear. Yeah, I
And
know
so what happened was a pipe burst, and then of course the water started leaking down the walls and got into people's rooms and whatnot.
Oh dear.
Yeah, and so we had to scramble to make sure everybody was in the correct rooms, or rather in new rooms. And what just happened recently was that same exact pipe burst again in the exact same place. Okay. And so now they have to go through the process of drying things out.
Yeah.
So,
well,
I've been working from home, which has been working out for me actually, because
good.
I can get more stuff. I can get more stuff done, honestly, here than I can up there.
Well, I hope that they can continue to allow you to do that.
I mean, I imagine if I do a good enough job doing stuff, then maybe they will.
Yeah.
I hope they do, because I mean, one of my things is I feel honestly really bad drawing and slacking off on the job, even if there's nothing for me to do, because it's like, but that's all my stuff.
Well, I know what you mean. I know that I would feel guilty being paid to sit still and wait for the phone to ring or whatever it was, and when I would do something on my own, especially if it was something that I was making money for a client, when I was being paid by someone else to sit there waiting for the phone to ring, it was pretty bad. But if on the other hand, you're able to concentrate more while you're home rather than being distracted by people walking in and out of the building and buying a can of Coke at the soda machine and all this other kind of stuff, they should allow you to stay home. I guess.
That's how I feel, but we'll see.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to actually get to it here in a few minutes.
Okay.
I am technically on the clock, but it's not like anything urgent is occurring.
Yeah, your phone would
It's gonna be
vibrate
probably,
if it was. There was an emergency.
yeah. I'm probably just going to end up going into some rooms that have yet to be touched by maintenance and doing some sweeping or something like that.
Mm-hmm. Well, hopefully all will be well.
Oh, hopefully.
Enough. Well enough.
Once it's well enough, we can leave well enough alone.
Yes. Well, Russell, I bought at Target yesterday, a book called 300 Writing Prompts.
Oh.
And it's about the size of a large paperback. And but it has really nice paper, textured but doesn't bleed through. And every page has one or two writing prompts on it, where these prompts are supposed to inspire you to write a little story that
would not get you into the New Yorker.
Yes, write a diary entry dated 10 years in the future. And I'm supposed to come up with, why doesn't that nurse come and change my Depends or whatever it is, change my feeding tube. But so I'm of course writing. I've written, I think, 3 so far. These will be my little pen tester out pages. And each one I'm making just as gutter, the view from the gutter as I possibly can. So nasty and as disgusting as possible, as not safe for work as possible. And they do have a companion book called Drawing Prompts or Sketching Prompts. So I may get that as well and just make those into vile, disgusting, dirty things too. Because why not?
I don't see why not.
I have I have this beautiful chromolithograph image of a young Victorian girl. It's about 2 feet tall by 1.5 feet wide, maybe. Beautiful oak frame with gold bric-a-brac here and there. And she's standing in front of an easel, and the easel is completely blank. The piece of paper or the canvas or whatever that's on the easel is completely blank. And I don't know if this was meant to buy in Victorian times, and you or your child or your grandmother or whatever would paint a pretty picture on it. Maybe it wasn't designed for that purpose. But what I'm going to do, of course, is and it took me a while to try to figure out how I wanted to draw it. But I think I'm going to draw it as if Ang had drawn it, with just delicate, almost hard to see pencil lines of the most nasty, veiny, uncut, why not, throbbing, monstrous, penis like you see in those Japanese woodcuts,
Oh yeah.
But have it be very light, so you can't see it from across the room. You have to, it will start coming into view, into focus, when you get maybe 3 feet away from it. And I just love the idea of oh, Pierre, just say it. You love the idea of veiny, uncut dicks. No, that's not the point. I love the idea of startling the viewer into being offended by getting up close.
Offending sensibilities.
Yeah, why not? When I made my little postage stamps, the little fake postage stamps I'd make, you know, I had them all on a display, and people, you have to get up close to see what they are. And they, you know, hold them up to their eyeballs and put their reading glasses on and look through the bottom of their bifocals. And then they see, oh my God, this is a threesome. This is a three-way happening for the Olympic biathlete game image I did. And I would hear people, and then they'd laugh. Most of them would laugh. One woman said, "These are not appropriate for children." Well, don't show them to your child. You know, it's not my fault. I specifically hung them high up so children couldn't see. You had to be
adult sized.
You had to be an adult size to see them, and you had to actually lift them out of these little pockets to look at them.
There we go.
Oh, it's working without the leaking. Yes. Well, it's a good thing that isn't a nuclear reactor, Mr. Facemeyer, because everyone in West Virginia would be dead by now if you were in charge of that.
Yeah. I mean, it wouldn't. It would. I don't know whether it would surprise you or not how close we are with nuclear reactors in this country to that kind of situation with my Instant Pot.
Well, I know how close we are because I illustrated a book about it for a woman who hired me. She's worked at MIT, and she hired me to illustrate this book called the God, what's it called? It was a book about the something of power, and it was the misuse of power, or I don't know. It was all about, essentially the book talked about the various kinds of disasters that have happened in the past to actual nuclear reactors, and how close we sort of came to these sorts of disasters. And she, as a sociologist, was thinking that we need to rethink how the management of these things are done. And she initially saw me at Open Studios and loved my drawings, and she said they remind me of Saul Steinberg. And I said, oh, well, that's my hero. And she then said, well, I want to do drawings, hire you to do drawings that are sort of in that style, that sketchy, sort of easy to understand, cartoony style for this book. Well, none of them were exact enough. So I had to continue to make them more and more and more realistic. And consequently, like, there was one image that was supposed to show how the hierarchy went, where, you know, the president was here, the vice president, and the cabinet, and the whatever. And we didn't actually have to have words that were readable. It was just showing how things was divided up. And I thought, well, that would be great, because you don't need words to show this. So, but then she ended up needing words, and okay, then it becomes harder to understand, actually, when you have to, when you have to put words to things, you know. So anyway, It was a book that was very difficult to do. She was a very nice lady. She is no longer living, unfortunately, but she wanted to do another book, and I thought my father would be good to illustrate this. She wanted to do a book about how plays or theatrical performances are created, where the director and the actors and the author and all of this stuff work together to make this thing. And I thought my father would really love to do those drawings for her. So anyway,
that would have been interesting to see.
But she's dead now. I'll have to find the book, because she was someone who used 15 words, 5 of which were multi-syllabled, to describe something that 3 single-syllabled words could describe. She made it much more complicated sounding than she needed to, and I think that was part of her shtick, that
was it academic language or poeticism?
It was she wanted it to be, of course she wanted it to be a bestseller, but it was written as if she was talking to people that were in a doctor.
We're in a hall and we're all wearing lab coats.
And it was much more smartly and intellectually sounding than I think it was. She just made it more complicated. And
it had all the words that a former president had.
Consequently, it was very, very hard to read. Your brain had to balance way more balls in the air than, just rather than having it be one sentence, just make it 2 sentences,
Yeah.
And or remind us again at the end of this hour-long sentence what the fuck you're talking about, because we forgot. By the time we got halfway through, we forgot what the noun was.
The object of the situation became lost in all the verbiage.
Yes. Do you have belt loops, belt holes in that belt?
Yeah. Why?
And how many did you have to make? Because it was this.
I had to make one extra.
You had to make one extra. It just looked like it was. I'm sorry I don't mean to make fun of you, Russell. You know that I love you exactly.
No, I understand. It's a strange situation because it's terribly hard to find belts that will allow me to properly keep my pants up.
Yeah, I know. I would think it would be very hard to find clothes that would fit you.
I'm considering overalls or suspenders.
That is not a bad idea, even though they do sort of. They're very comfortable, not having a thing around your waist, but or a toga. You'd look good in a toga.
I've worn a toga before. Can't say it's been my favorite, or at least I've worn something akin to a toga.
No, it was that dress you wore. That dress you wore at that party.
Well, not just the dress, but also when I was in middle school. Oh, what was it? No, actually, it wasn't a toga. It was just, or was it? Yes. I dressed up and performed the part of Aesop.
Oh.
Recounted his history, so I believe I wore something akin to a toga.
I see.
Not my favorite.
No, they're hard to keep in place. I think it would be too easy for wardrobe malfunctions to happen. I imagine there is a pin or a brooch or a hook or a belt or a something that keeps togas from um,
Yeah,
spilling all over the place. But
there is usually a pin or a hook or something like that kept around the shoulder for those. They also had winter models because, fun fact, in Italy it is not always warm,
yeah,
and they had winter togas basically, and they were like, imagine the habit of a nun,
yeah,
but much more with much more regalia.
yeah, with brocade borders and
Yes, imagine if they made a nun's habit, but they made it out of Persian rugs.
yes. Or imagine if Liberace were a nun. There you go.
He would be the singing nun par excellence.
Yes.
Or at least the piano playing nun.
No, he sang as well.
I figured.
He had kind of a nasal voice like this. I'll be seeing you in all the old familiar places that this heart of mine embraces all day through.
That's how he sang.
He sounds sort of like Groucho Marx in your rendition.
Groucho. In the small cafes, in the parks. He sort of sounds a little bit like Peter Lorre, too.
I'll be seeing you in all the old familiar places that this heart of mine embraces all day through. In the small cafe.
Any new puppets in the works, Russell? Says Frederick. Well, Frederick asks if you have any puppets in the works.
I got the big one that I've been slowly working away at. But I've been either working away at sweeping up walkways recently or keeping rooms in order. Yesterday, that one obnoxious kid, I finally got to get rid of some of his stuff.
Oh, good.
I'm gonna have to
the one that said he denied ownership of all of said stuff.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And if he's going to deny the provenance of his items, then I'm going to,
I think what you should do is just send them to the closest penitentiary where he lives, and just say this guy will show up sometime in the near future.
Keep these, and he will collect them when he inevitably
he will collect them at some point in the near future. Just put him in a cell.
I mean, that actually brings to mind the fact that the local penitentiary system was actually hiring or doing a career fair at our school.
God.
Yeah, and here's the scary part. They said, let me see if I can. No, I can't pull the email very easily. But basically, they said they'll consider anybody from any major, and that they can, and that it was implied basically that they can guarantee you a position.
Yeah. Well, this is what they should. This is
how starved they are for people.
They could say in their opening statement in front of this group, they could say 10% of you will be in our institution, 5% will be prisoners, and the other 5% might be staff, and we've got openings in the delousing and the kitchen department right now. And sign right here.
Look, you can either sign on as an employee or just come in by default later when you inevitably become a criminal. Take your pick. One has health insurance.
Yes, one has insurance. The other one, well, they have. While they're in the care of the penitentiary, I guess they get health care of some sort.
Yeah, this is like the beef I have with all of this discourse about like essential workers.
Yeah.
You know, where it's like, oh, let's applaud these guys. They're doing such great work. I mean, we're not going to pay them any more than we have to, but let's applaud them.
Yes.
It's like they're living out the song Happy Feet.
Happy Feet.
Cheerful of music sweet.
You're just amazing.
Happy feet.
You're just amazing that you know things like that. I mean,
I learned it from the Muppets.
Oh, those happy feet, those happy feet. No, that's Happy Talk. That's what I'm. There's Happy Feet, and then there's Happy Feet and Happy Talk have similar melodies. There, Michael Moore, the filmmaker, he had a TV show at one point, a weekly TV show. I don't know if you remember that, but
I did not know that.
It lasted.
Michael Moore's Big Fat America Hatred Hour.
It may have been an hour, and it was on for, I think, only one season. And there were two episodes I remember. One was shortly after one of the more recent cannibals was discovered, mass murderers and cannibals, and how none of the neighbors, could see this happening. So he decided he bought a house or rented a house in some neighborhood, and he put a light in the living room so it shined up against the curtains, and then in the living room he would act out the axe murdering of someone. Where you would see the axe come down and then the next day he would have big 20-gallon drums oozing red liquid on the sidewalk, and he just did this for weeks, and no one called the police, no one did anything. It was just really, really funny. And then another one was he was visiting a penitentiary, a for-profit penitentiary that was being built in Minnesota. And it had no inmates, no criminals were in it, but it was being staffed, and it was waiting for the criminals, and they had the people that were the guards there. They had this one woman who clearly had never met a criminal in her life, and she was in her classroom where she was going to teach these criminals, these rapists and murderers and thieves and kidnappers and drug dealers, she was going to teach them calligraphy. So she had her supplies all ready to go, and she had her charts on the wall, and how she was going to rehabilitate these people through making beautiful lettering. And I thought that was pretty funny.
I kind of admire it because of the innocence of it, and because with some of these people that are being locked up, they're being locked up for stuff that's minor enough that actually being taught calligraphy would probably be good for them, and a decent relaxing time. It's not like everybody who goes into these places is a psychopath. But I also just like the image of this woman waiting and sitting,
Yeah, waiting for the, just,
waiting for these inevitable students to come in.
yeah. I mean, if a first grade teacher
So
has fears enough, on that first day of school, waiting patiently behind her desk while these 30 people enter her class. But this, this woman with these adults that have already been, some of them might be innocent. There might be one or two that actually was wrongly convicted, but most of them are convicted of doing something pretty bad.
It's this like a high offense lockup penitentiary.
Well, I don't know whether it was the fact that it was a penitentiary run for profit. I think was the story that that he was getting across.
I mean,
but
that's the real disgusting part. But I found the email. So it says FCI Gilmer Career Fair will be held tomorrow in the Academic Success Center. Let's see. Bring your resume and valid ID. Oh wait, dress to impress.
Oh,
bring your resume.
Go buy an orange suit and show up. Or one with
either wear stripes. Wear stripes to slim down.
Horizontal stripes.
Here's the fun part. Door prizes will be offered.
Hacksaws.
Door prizes will be offered. Yeah. Hacksaws.
Hacksaw cake will be served. Make a hacksaw cake. Oh, God.
Yes. So the title is Work on the Inside.
Oh, God. Oh no.
CI Gilmer Career Fair. Benefits. Yes, here it is. Benefits include guaranteed full-time employment, health, dental, and vision and life insurance, paid vacation, parental leave, sick leave, overtime, and holidays, promotion opportunities, law enforcement retirement with 20 to 25 years of service. Currently hiring correctional officers, nurses, psychologists, facilities operators, and more. Starting salary for correctional officers is $43,495 and up.
Shiv,
and
for
very revealing. There was a second email that came out just yesterday. This was from this was forwarded to everybody basically. Good afternoon, Jason. Would you mind sending out one more email reminder that FCI Gilner will be here until 3 p.m. in the ASC classroom? I feel like their turnout wasn't as much as they would have liked.
I see. Well, I would love if you could send that other one, forward it to me. I just want to reread it a couple of times.
Okay. I will do that here. It's quite interesting. I mean, it's really sad.
I mean, I know that those jobs, prisons, I suppose, are needed, and those jobs are needed as well. But
Pierre Gustafson,
Pierre Gustafson Studio at Gmail.
I mean, part of the reason that they're desperate for people is just because, you know, they're locking too many people up.
Oh.
Right? I mean, they're locking people up for these really minor offenses, for things that you really don't need to be locked up for, like, you know, marijuana use, drug possession, things like that. And so they're also porting in people from other states to our state because there's no room in the other states.
I think that was why Minnesota was getting on the penitentiary bandwagon. I think there were too few Minnesotan criminals. It's like shipping toxic waste to Wyoming or something, you know.
Basically, I mean, and the penitentiary, sadly enough, is one of the few things that keeps this particular area on its feet, other than the university and the Waco. Waco is the oil company here.
I think. You have tobacco there too? Or is that?
No, we don't. That's a Virginia thing. See, that's the reason that Virginia, I mean, that's one of the reasons that West Virginia decided to join the Union is because, you know, the reason we didn't have slaves here is because A, we were pretty much poor people here, and B, you can't grow tobacco here because the land sucks for it. You can't. Tobacco needs a decent climate, or rather a much more stable climate and flat tracts of land. And you can't get that here because we're all hills and gullies.
Well, perfect spot for a prison. Don't need prisons, fix society. Well, we need more mental hospitals, the ones that Reagan shut down, to help people that have mental issues that cause their homelessness or antisocial behavior.
I mean, we can't think about one of the things that I think is
you're frozen, Russell. But anyway.
Okay, am I still?
You're still frozen, so.
Okay, let me get off and get back on again.
Okay. There you are. You're moving.
Yeah. So what I was about to say is, you know, I think that one of the issues we have is just that when we think of justice, we sort of think more like in terms of vengeance than anything else. We don't think about trying to reform people, really. We try to think of it as punishment. In fact, you know, we always think, well, you deserve to be punished. We need to get our revenge, right? Which, you know, that doesn't seem quite right to me. So we have to think of justice as reparative or restorative rather than as
punitive.
Yeah.
Rather than simply punitive and
yeah, punitive.
So that's where the calligraphy class comes in.
Yeah, that would be where the calligraphy comes in. But I mean, also with figuring out, you know, how do we make this right for both the victims and the people who committed the crimes? Because, you know, sometimes people have reasons they commit crimes, whether they're good or not. Some people are just mentally handicapped, mentally unstable, and, you know, those have to be dealt with by psychologists and psychiatrists probably, rather than people with clubs.
Yeah.
And nightsticks.
Some people are born evil. I remember one of my favorite Simpsons cartoons where Homer is somehow being tried in court for some crime of some sort that he probably did by mistake. But anyway, whatever it was, he was in court, and they they had the doctor be the expert witness about people that are born evil. You know, does this exist? And he said, some people are born evil. Hitler was evil. Walt Disney was evil. I just thought that was great. Which, of course, is true. He was.
I think when you're evil, you have to grow a certain particular type of mustache.
Yes, perhaps.
You notice that a lot of the evil dictators have like just mustaches. Like
No.
I'm thinking, Il Duce. What was his name?
Mussolini. Benito.
Mussolini.
Yeah.
Benito Mussolini. Then there was Hitler, obviously. I don't remember the dictator that showed up in Spain, but I think he just
Franco.
I think he had a mustache.
Franco.
Yeah.
Franco. And then
Franco.
Ceausescu and Pol Pot and all the other people. Anyway, I don't know if dictators require. Well, Stalin had a mustache, but it wasn't a weird looking one.
Yeah, it wasn't a weird looking one, but it was still a mustache. And he was definitely a dictator rather than a communist.
Yeah.
But okay, I have been chatting for long enough.
Okay.
So I mean, I could technically, what I'm probably going to end up doing here is going over to a room and trying to remove some command strips that some of the students left, sticking to the walls. I could continue on if you want to watch me removing command strips.
I would love to, but I also have to get my little butt in gear as well. So I'm going to say goodbye now to you and to Mighty and to Friedrich and whoever else is in the room, and see what I can do. Apollo is doing a drawing session today too, and I'll look forward to seeing what he comes up with in terms of poses. But he wants to get more artists and models involved in doing this. And there's another couple new people I added to the group. I'll send you a picture of one that one guy did of a tattooed guy. And it was just, I find drawing tattooed people really kind of amazing. And I saw this line drawing he did of this guy, and I said, you should have had him pose on an oriental rug because he'd just disappear. He completely just, it's like that painting of Sargent of the Hermit, in this picture, find the man that didn't pay me any money to do his portrait, Anyway, well, you all be good, Russell. Good seeing you. Bye.
All
Bye,
right.
everyone. See you. Ciao, ciao.